Who better than me?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another live edition episode of the Hardcore Casual with your boy, Face the Kid. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It is appreciated. First things first, let me know how the sound is. Is the music a decent level this time? Is it too loud still? Is it just right? If I've got to turn it down, let me know. But I will get to all the people in attendance really soon. I appreciate everyone for obviously, stepping up and rolling through. Let me just make sure my audios are all good. Right, that should be okay. Sounding good. That's what I like to hear. Yes, big up to any and everyone who is tuned in. A few minutes later than initially anticipated, but thank you very much for being here. There's a lot to talk about. I've been out pretty much all day. I only got back in my house about half an hour, 45 minutes ago. So I was trying to catch up a little bit on the press conference from Joshua and Ngannou. We'll definitely get into that. We'll speak about that in a little bit. But yeah, I've literally just got to the point where AJ hands Francis his earpod, and then he's talking about what he listens to in the earpod. Now I know for a fact it ain't music that he's listening to in the one earpod. I know that for a fact. So it'll be very interesting to find out what he's really listening to on there. But with that being said, it's all good. Also, thank you to everyone who hit the poll in the community chat earlier on. So because of that, and because the people have spoken, I think there's about 35 people in there so far from what I saw. We will be going live again tomorrow for a live edition of Basis Picks. And because we will be live and it will be a much longer format than normal, I'll go into a bit more depth into some of the fights that probably wouldn't have made the initial video just due to timing. I know that it's a lot easier to watch the long form content when it's interactive as opposed to just kind of having to sit by your computer and watch that. Although for me, I quite like the long form, like the pods and everything, especially when I've got my YouTube Premium active, which I've just gotten back. I'm telling you, Premium's a game changer, because being able to watch the stuff, in the background, being able to turn off the screen, all of that stuff, being able to do other things on your phone while you're watching YouTube, not having the ads, like I find it very hard to go back. So any months when I don't have it, or any days I don't have it, trust me, I get back to it really, really quickly. It needs to be, it's a staple. If you don't have it, I would suggest getting it, especially if you're heavily on YouTube like myself. But with that being said, we've got a decent number of people in the building at the moment, so thank you very much. We'll get started. I've got to greet everyone who has popped in and showed some love. So first and foremost, Dan the Man, SC15, hardest working guy on Twitter. Thank you very much for being in here. Number one today. Philip Answer, big up to you. Bless up. Again, thank you very much for being such a loyal watcher and viewer of not only my content, but Undisputed as well. And I will make sure you definitely get your shout out on the watch along on Friday. North Bank Bren, big up to you. And yes, obviously, you brought me back to the Discord and been in there for over a year. I am back. I'm not keeping as much of an eye on it as I used to, but I do have a much better battery now on my phone. So yes, I will be in there a lot more regularly than I was previous. Jam Down 187, big ups to you. Manners and respect every single time, always in attendance. Jonah 31, big up to you also. Always a pleasure to have you guys in the building. And Dr. Wu Doc, bless up. Thank you very much for being in the chat as well. And thank you very much for being here. And Emma Willis, premium is stress-free living. I'm telling you, I can't. I almost wish I'd never went to it before, because I can't go back. And whenever I do go back, I'm miserable. And I've never go back for too long. It has to be there. Luckily for me, I pay a reduced price on premium. I actually pay a reduced price on all my subscriptions that I have currently. I don't know if I can really say it on the live, just in case I get flagged for anything, but let's just say it's good to be international. I'm gonna leave it at that. All right, I've got Dan the man. What's your thoughts on Alicia? Don't worry, we're gonna talk about that. I don't want to talk about that actually. All right, in the chat, because Dan's asked it now. Should I start the segment with that? Or should I go in the order I was thinking of initially? Because that is something we was going to talk about. So all I want to see is either yeses or thumbs up or no's or thumbs down or anything like that. I'll give you guys a few seconds, and then if that's the first thing we go on, then that's where we will start. I'm gonna leave you. I'm gonna check this intently for a few moments. I'm just going to turn my camera off while I send someone a link for something. 1 second. Let's see. Okay, looks like that's what people want to talk about first. Okay. So let's see. Emma. Yeah, I got it at international price too. Okay, so Emma knows the deal. Jam down, tell the truth. You paying student price. I wish I was paying student price. That's actually cheaper than the price I am paying. But I can't fake the student license. So yeah. Okay, Wood Up wants the thumbs up. Alicia versus Varda first. No. Well, she didn't have any Varda tests, North Bank. So terrible. We got, what was it? It's drug-free sport that we have to talk about, not Varda, but Bren being Bren as always. She is cleared. Why do people always make a big deal of AJ having an AirPod and what he's listening to? Oh yeah, we'll talk about that. Dan, stop it. Forgive me, I'm trying to protect the what. All right, you know what? All right, cool. You know what? We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into the drug-free sports situation. We're gonna get into the to the Caroline Dubois stuff. We're gonna do all of that first, so might as well start with that. Okay, so there's been an interesting exchange that's been taking place on Twitter over the last day or so between Alicia Baumgardner and Caroline Dubois. Now, this isn't actually the first time that they've been sort of back and forth in friendly rivalry, although it looked like it was more friendly the last time. Caroline basically was employing the same tactic towards Alicia that Alicia was initially employing towards Clarissa Shields, where she said, you know, I'd love the opportunity to fight you in the future, and etc, etc. Well, now it's gotten a little bit more spicy between the two, purely because Alicia responded to a comment from Matchroom's Twitter handles, basically saying that the Katie Taylor and Chantel Cameron fight potentially may not be next, and that Katie Taylor might want to run out first, or she may want to defend the titles or whatever. And Chantel possibly looking for a new opponent also. So Alicia Baumgardner responded to the tweet saying something along the lines of, respectfully, nobody wants to see the third fight. And then she had a hashtag Taylor Baumgardner. Now Caroline Dubois saw this and she quote tweeted it and basically said, no, there's no skipping the queue, there's no jumping the queue over here. To which Alicia responded basically saying, LOL, like, you know who the boss is. Caroline was like, yeah, for now, quoting those Shakur Stevenson bars towards Devin Haney. He goes, yeah, you're great or whatever, but if me and you get in the ring, what time it is, etc., etc. So enjoy your reign or something along those lines. And Alicia was like, yeah, well, I don't play with my food, like, keep working, cub, and then etc. Now, funnily enough, I saw Alicia's brother in the chat. Now he made a comment, but he didn't take it just to Caroline. He basically said something along the lines of, these Brits never learn, or something along those lines. Basically, he took it to the whole nation. So I know there's a lot of Brits watching this, or a lot of Brits that is in the chat now. I don't know. He made it national. Now, I feel a bit of a ways about that because one-on-one, I like both. And while obviously I'm nationally a Brit, it's not obviously my heritage, but it's where I live, it's where I dwell. So when you kind of come at it from that angle, you're forcing me to pick a side in that sense. But I'm gonna leave that one alone. But yeah, the two of them have been getting at it. So ultimately, I guess we've got to look at now what happens if the two of them face each other. Do they, who wins? Who's got the upper hand in that? Now, on one hand, you could say, well, look, Caroline is the naturally bigger woman of the two. They're probably both about the same height. Caroline's frame is slightly bigger. Alicia, I would say, is definitely the stronger. I don't know who the quicker one is. I would say Caroline probably edges the power game, but I reckon Alicia's obviously, she's got the experience. Caroline's got the deeper amateur background, but Alicia's just got the experience of like being, in those big high pressure situations that Caroline hasn't yet experienced. So it's a struggle. It's a weird one to kind of know. I feel like I know who I would lean towards, just based on styles. I feel like one of them has a better style for the other, but there's so many factors. So I'll leave you guys in the comments to kind of put who you think would be the aggressor, who would be the defender, who ultimately would have the advantage in that fight. What I will say is obviously Alicia is 29, she's coming up to 30 this year, I think in a couple months. So she's definitely got that woman strength to her, and I do think she's the naturally stronger. Caroline may arguably be the bigger puncher, I'm not 100% sure on that, but Alicia's definitely the stronger. That wrestling background counts for a lot. So yeah, I'll leave you guys to that. If the fight ever happens, I'll give a prediction. But until such a point as it does, I'm gonna keep quiet, just because obviously everyone knows I am I'm team Baumgardner, but I'm also team Dubois. Like, I like both. Obviously Caroline, good Capricorn girl like myself, so I back her for that. She was the Dubois I trusted and had faith in. Daniel's coming back in estimation a little bit, but Caroline was always the golden child for me. But I've always been team AB ever since I found out about her in 2019, 2 years before the Terry Harper fight. So yes, let me go ahead and chat and see what you guys be saying with regard to that fight. And I also got a shout out anyone else who just jumped in. Josh, big ups to you. Nottingham's own Savage Josh. I don't know, we might have to give the name back to Raymond Ford, but I mean, the Savage is in the building. Looking forward to seeing you on Friday along with everyone else. Also, he says no problem with White returning to the ring. Yeah, we're gonna get into that one next. Emma Willis Dubois thinks we forgot she dodged the beast. I mean, I can't deny that one. North Bank says Caroline definitely better than the big bro at banter. Yeah, she's definitely, I think, been probably looking at where he was faltering back in the day, and she's kind of been working on it. Because if you remember when she first came out, her, speaking in public and everything, even though she tried to exude a certain confidence, she still had a lot of Daniel's mannerisms. But it's like she's properly grown into herself and into her character and just her personality. So I definitely feel like she's gone on leaps and bounds from there. Jam Down 187 says that favela broad had Caroline nervous. Beatrice was ready to take Caroline's, but okay. I mean, look, Beatrice Ferreira is a problem. She's a very big problem, and she's another one of my favorites. So I'm gonna be in a position at one point where I'm just gonna have a lot of my favorite women fighting each other, and I can't really support any of them. I'll still give my prediction on who I think's gonna win, because professionally and integrity-wise, I've got to do that. There's no sitting on the fence, but it doesn't mean I'm gonna enjoy the fact that they're fighting. I don't enjoy it when the guys that I watch and I admire fight each other, and I definitely won't be enjoying it when it's the women, because obviously one's got to win, one's got to lose. Aaron Daly, big up to you. Thank you very much for being in attendance. Let's see. Dan the man says, I think Alicia wins. I mean, look, it's a fair shout. In the pro game, she's had definitely the more sterner tests. And as we've seen Caroline step up the level, the knockouts have stopped. But we could also say the same thing about Alicia. But they are still both knocking down their opponents. Maybe not every single one, but even if they're not getting the stoppages, they are getting knockdowns or they are hurting them. So, yeah. Let's see. Don't know if Dubois does to Mechaled like how Alicia did it. Funny enough, I was saying something similar when I was reading the tweets. I'm like, if I'm looking at the opposition, like Mechaled, I don't know if Caroline beats her in the same fashion that Alicia did. I don't know if she beats Christina Leonardo too. I'm not saying she doesn't, but I just don't know if she does it or if she struggles harder than Alicia did. But that being said, obviously Christina's much older now than she was back in her prime. Going back down to those lower weights maybe doesn't benefit her. But yeah, there's good work all around. So ultimately, I can't. It's one of them ones. I'm just going to be happy to see it when it takes place. Now, that being said, we'll jump off of that one, and we will talk very briefly about the Dillian Whyte clearance. Now, I did speak about this a little bit on my weekend wrap earlier on in the week, or I should say at the end of the weekend just gone. Now, I'm happy that the situation has been sorted. To me personally, whether he was found guilty of an offense or was cleared, I'm just happy that we got some clarity on the situation. Now, personally, I was one of the few people that was maintaining and saying, look, I'm not going to say that he's innocent because I don't know him personally. I can't vouch for someone that I've not been around like that. But what I will say is the circumstances, obviously, of the first failed test that he had in boxing, and that was his first failed test totally, because there's been a lot of people peddling nonsense that he was banned for a failed test in MMA and kickboxing. No, that was not him. That was Jerome Miller. And I don't know why people keep doing such lazy work and thinking of that situation. And for those of you who don't know, I can't remember the exact facts of it. He did receive, I believe it was a ban from MMA because he had more of an extensive kickboxing background than was allowed for the league he was competing in. Because I think he joined, obviously, like it was an amateur MMA league in the I think it was like Combat League or something like that. But he, because of his extensive kickboxing background, they said that no, you can't be in this league. So I think they banned him from competing in that particular league. Hence why he then went from there and moved into boxing. And then as an amateur in boxing, they suspended his amateur card because of his extensive kickboxing background. They're saying, well, you were fighting as a pro, as a kickboxer, so you can't be an amateur. And I think they was going to appeal it initially, or his team wanted him to appeal it to be able to then, carry on in the amateurs and keep learning his craft like that. But he said, no, forget that. I haven't got the time to waste. So that's why he became a pro after so few amateur fights. I think it was 3. I think he had 3 amateur fights, or it was between 3 and 7. I think it was. It might have been 7 amateur fights. But yeah, that's the reason why he, I believe, was had to serve a ban in the MMA world. It was nothing to do with drugs. And I'm not even sure if it was a ban. I think there was just probably an issue with the fact that he had too much of an extensive kickboxing background for the league that he was in. Something along those lines. I was trying to find the article the other day because I remember when I saw it previously, but obviously combing through, through the Googles and stuff, it's very hard to kind of find them unless you've got the exact links. But there's that. So obviously we know about the Jack 3D thing, which, to be fair, like, he got a 2-year ban. Obviously, they reduced it from 4 years to 2 years because of the circumstances. And realistically, they could have reduced it further. It's just that was their policy. It's either 4 years or 2 years. There was no in between. There was no 6 months. There was no 12 months. Everyone knows the situation with Jack 3D. At the time, it was free to use. A month before his bout, I don't remember the name of the guy that he faced, but he obviously had used Jack 3D the month before, and it got added onto the banned list within that month. And there was traces of the I can't remember methexlamine or whatever it was called. There was traces of that obviously in his system after the fight in the UCAD test. So that's why he served the ban. But under dubious circumstances, I don't hold that one against him. And he served his time, and obviously had to be out the ring for 2 years doing any and everything else. So he was found guilty, obviously, of a situation, strict liability. But they understood it was a bad situation. It wasn't, a willful injection and a willful situation like that to take performance enhancing drugs or substances for the purpose of combat sports. Then we get the Oscar Rivas situation, which in that situation as well, you clearly see they had an adverse finding within a sample, but they did all the tests, and ran. I don't know if it was the B sample they ran ultimately, because I don't think they ended up using the B sample, but they used the tests that he had a couple of days before the VADA test. I mean, before the UCAD test, sorry. They used his VADA test from a couple of days before. They used his VADA test from a couple of days after. It was the month before, and I think it was a couple of days after. There was nothing in there, and they had concluded that that his actual sample that he had given to UCAD had been contaminated, and that's why they said it was consistent with a contaminant event based on the previous and the post samples that was given. So he was fully cleared. This time as well, they say again he's fully cleared. Now on this one particularly, there was a substance that was there. So it's not like the second time where it was a contaminated test. This time there was actually a substance there, but he's done the evidence. He's had it, and it's been shown that the substance that was in his system was from a supplement that didn't have the substance on the label, didn't have it stated that it was a supplement, or that it was in the so looks like we're back online. Good. Yeah. So what they basically said was that they didn't confirm whether it was a contaminant within the batch of the product, or if it's a supplement, like if it's you know, a substance that's actually in the product that they just didn't disclose. It was one or the other. But either way, he had used that. That was the reason why he returned an adverse finding in this one. Now he's let me know if y'all see me, because okay, yeah, I think I'm back. You know, I'm gonna turn off the Wi-Fi. You guys let me know if you can still hear me, if everything's still coming through loud and clear. I do not have the Queensbury Wi-Fi, Jonah. Stop it. Okay, it looks like I'm back now. All right. Yeah, no, sorry. My phone it went into its bedtime routine. So basically it messed up all of my settings. So apologies. Before I do anything, let's Karma Serene with the 499. Base in your face means peace. See you later. Thank you very much, Karma. I appreciate the 499 gesture. It's greatly appreciated. And love to you. Always respect you and your opinions. And I love watching your lives, and I would love watching your videos when you like to get a little messy. They're so short, but I need more of them. So if you can try and up the content. I need at least three a week if possible. But I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Yeah. So back to what we was talking about with Dillian. Yeah. So he basically said, look, I'm upset that this has obviously happened to me again. It's cost me a lot of money personally. I've gone to clear my name because I'm not having people call me a drug cheat. Or thinking that I intentionally done this. He's now going to be suing the supplement company for damages. So he's going to sue them, I guess, for the fight Percy lost out on, not being able to take the fight, plus probably the expenses he's had to put into the case as well. I can see him making quite a bit of change out of this situation. Especially if obviously everything is being said is actually correct. And I know, look, some people say, look, there's no smoke without fire, and a tree is defined by its roots and all this stuff, or, it's happened more than once. Why should people believe you? But ultimately, if you go, it's the same as if you go into, you get arrested, you get a prison sentence. You serve your time, you come out, then all of a sudden you get profiled by the police on the next occasion, or you end up having to go to court again and again for things that you didn't do just because you had a previous arrest on your record. Once it's done and clear, you should start back from zero, especially if on the last occasion you got cleared of any wrongdoing. So that's one of the reasons why when these things come up, I'm never quick to jump out the window and say, oh yeah, I believe that this person, I believe they're a cheat, I believe X, Y, and Z. I always try and wait as much as I can for the outcomes. But that's me. I know not everyone moves the same way that I do in that regard, but that's sort of how I see it. Yeah, obviously you guys in the chat can kind of let me know your thoughts on that and how you guys sort of feel when it comes to these situations. But yeah, let me go into some of the comments. The villain learned his lesson from the Jack 3D issue. I highly doubt he'd risk millions he's been earning to take ped. It's exactly, especially on such a big payday. I wouldn't be taking the chance on that last one, even if it meant that I was gonna, get beat down. I wouldn't have any other payday better than that. Jam down. I thought Base was suffering with narcolepsy for a moment. Yeah. Obviously, Jonah says I got the Queensbury Wi-Fi. Well, hopefully that's all fully cleared up now. Kings can hear you. All right, good. Everyone said okay. Sound is okay. Visuals are a bit glitchy. But I hope that's all been sorted out now. White is low key unlucky, definitely. North Bank Bren says, problem is, without strict liability, you leave it open. Tainted supplements always the excuse. I mean, look, I kind of agree with you on that one. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's the thing, like, if it's tainted with a if it's like, you know, it's in the supplement and you don't, and, you know, it hasn't been disclosed that it's a part of the supplement, why should you be impeded on that, or at least be called a cheat? Like, to be honest, anything that we take in life can be tainted. Like, the food we eat could be tainted, the water you drink could be tainted. Like, so is that, you know, should your whole reputation be tarnished on something that you didn't intentionally do? But then there is a flip side to that, and the flip side is, okay, if the supplement was tainted and you didn't know, you're still reaping the benefits of whatever was in it for that short period of time that you were taking it, if there is a benefit to be had. So it is a risk reward. It weighs it up. Okay, you didn't know that you're taking this, but does it automatically mean that you didn't get the benefit from that? And it's a tricky one. So I get it. Like, it's one of those ones. Strict liability. I feel like strict liability should be. I don't think it should be strict liability. I feel like it should just be liability, and you should be obviously made to have to explain certain things. And with this, like, look, you've got all of the evidence there to back it up. Everything's there, all of the paperwork's there, and like, whatever the situation is, you can clearly see that was tested, and they found that there was something in there that shouldn't have been in there based on the label. So in that aspect and in that sense, I agree with it. Yes, I understand that. I feel like it is needed from time to time, but on occasions like this, I'm glad that obviously it took, it sort of happened the way it happened. And ultimately, you've got, someone he's basically he's had the ban already. The ban has been had because of what's gone on in the situation. So, yeah. Now, this thing cleared by the Texas board. Now, that's interesting because obviously I knew he had a Portugal license, but he did go over, and I don't know if he necessarily moved over to America, but he did go over to America to train with Buddy McGirt. So does that mean that Buddy's in Texas and he then got a license from there? Was it the Texas board that he was fighting under when he was coming over to London? Because remember, you don't need a BBBOC license to fight over. You just need permission for your license to be acknowledged. Hence why I know on Monday Night Smoke they were saying, well, why didn't UCAD haven't got involved in this? It's because UCAD had nothing to do with his testing. It was VADA, and he didn't hold a British license, so UCAD couldn't do anything. So with that, I mean, I don't know how long he had the Texas license for. That would be something that would be interesting. But ultimately, it doesn't matter which board it was that cleared, because you still got to present the evidence to them. And if the evidence is presented, whether it's Texas, whether it's Michigan, whether it's New York, whether it's London, whether it's Ireland, you still got to present the evidence. They still got to rule over it. So yeah, and obviously Nevada as well. So either way, I sort of spent a bit more time on the Dillian's subject than I was planning to, but he's cleared to fight. They've ruled it was accidental, or he didn't know when he do anything. It was not of any wrongdoing of his own. So yeah, I mean, look, he's not going to be around for much longer. Let's just pray that he doesn't get into another situation, because I don't think he's gonna. I think if anything happens again, he'll literally just retire, because I don't think he's going to be willing to spend the money to clear his name yet again. But BBBOC will not want to license him, you know. I mean, they probably won't, but he doesn't need their license. All he needs is permission for them to box over here again. And if he's got a license, he has to do medicals in any other district, in any other territory. So from he's done that, I can't really see there being too much of an issue with them sanctioning him to fight. King says Alicia Whyte cleared after working in silence. Conor Benn must have been punching up the walls after hearing the Dillian Whyte news. I mean, yeah, both. Well, no, the only person who you could say 100% handled this in the perfect manner was Dillian Whyte, just going radio silence, keeping quiet, because he allowed Alicia and Conor Benn to basically take up the limelight. Now Alicia's was different because she just wasn't acknowledging anything. She's like, look, I know what I did and I'm going to prove it to everyone. But she was just on socials, tweeting, posting every day like nothing had happened. It was actually the most like brazen and brazy thing that I've seen, but I respected it. That's how confident she was. Like, I'm not hiding from this at all. Like, I'm showing you guys this doesn't affect me because it's not true. In her mind, that's how she's looked at it. Dillian's just gone radio silence. Obviously, Conor's just gone. Conor went out the window, off the wall, in every different direction. But he done the same thing that Dillian did, just with, you know, just in a negative side, because he stayed in the public media, stayed going to places he didn't need to go. The Piers Morgan thing was a train wreck. But yeah, for anyone in future who gets, you know, a situation like this occur and you're not actually guilty, like, handle it the way that Dillian Whyte handled it. Just keep quiet, do all your due diligence in the background, and yeah, keep it moving that way. And with that now, I feel the next thing to probably talk about, I think I'm gonna switch up and go over to this one. Let's talk about what's going on with Ryan Garcia at this point, because I don't know how. I think a lot of it is him just acting out, but there is some kind of mental something going on there. Now, I'm not going to go into all the different things he's done, like the Andrew Tate interview, or the you know, what was it, the Spaces, or the YouTube, or the Instagram Live, whatever it was that he done there. The videos, the 666 video, we got him saying that his phone's been taken, his bank accounts have been frozen. So I guess it's almost like that. If that's the case, they're saying, no, you're not going anywhere. Like, we're going to trap you here. You're going to be in camp. You're not going to be allowed to go anywhere. You're not going to try and leave the country, like, in camp for this fight, because this is what you need to be doing. Now, I don't know how mentally well at this moment in time he is. He seemed okay prior to the signing of the contract. Then after the contract got signed, it felt like, you know, maybe he got backed into a corner he wasn't happy with. Then I guess this whole thing being in Brooklyn in the Barclays Center really tipped him over the edge. Now, I remember when it first came out, I was one of the first people on Twitter. I was like, hold on a minute, but this is two West Coast based people. Like, why would you be doing a fight between two West Coast based fighters on the East Coast? And I was like, that's like having two guys from London fighting in Manchester. I mean, yeah, even if it's like two big name guys, that's not the main event. It seems like you're leaving money on the table, because ultimately their fan bases are going to be in London, or having, you know, two guys from Birmingham headlining at the O2. It kind of seems weird. And I guess you kind of got a little bit of that when you've got, you know, Fabio Wardley and Fraser Clark, you know, one guy from, I guess, the Midlands and another guy from Ipswich, you know, and they're gonna be facing each other at the O2, but slightly different dynamic. But yeah, it just seemed a bit weird to me, but I said, okay, cool. And obviously Ryan came out, he was like, no, like, this has to be on the West Coast. It's the best thing for business, best thing for my fans, X, Y, and Z. And ever since then, all this weirdness has been happening and going on. So look, I don't know. Is he gonna make the fight? What do people think? Is he actually gonna turn up on the 20th of April? I mean, personally, I think if he does, he gets beat. I initially remember when obviously the Gervonta Davis thing happened. I predicted that Ryan would win, not because I thought he was the better fighter, but purely because he kept giving up so much advantages for the fight. I was like, you can't give up ace status, like the rehydration clause, the very low catch rate, all this stuff, just to and the split on the money. You give up everything because you desperately want this fight. Something to me just said, you must know something I don't. So that's the reason why I basically ended up picking him. I said everything in my mind told me that Tank is supposed to win this fight, but Ryan, maybe there's something here I don't know. So because of that, I'm gonna pick him to win. And then I was horribly wrong. That's one of the few times I've been horribly wrong, and that's one of the few times whereby when I don't think about something like just from a logical standpoint, and I let other factors get involved, that I get the predictions wrong. So yeah, that's obviously won't be happening again, definitely not in the same vein. But yeah, with regards to that fight now, look, I don't think there's going to be I don't think he's gonna pull out of this fight, even if he is not well, unless someone else, like medically he gets pulled by a doctor or a psychiatrist or something, saying yeah, he's not in the right mind to be in the ring. I just think there's too much money on the table, and ultimately, I guess, win, lose or draw, he's gonna probably just see this as one, just another payday. I'll get in, I'll get out, I'll do my thing. And it's just, yeah, it's weird. It's hard for me to really kind of just understand all of that to how it works out. But yeah, I'm gonna come back to that in a moment. I just want to read some more of these messages from before. North Bank said, when you earn as much as him, so talking about Dillian Whyte, he can get all his supplements checked and cleared pre-fight. Well, the thing is like, ultimately you say that, but every supplement you get, from what I remember, and this is how I know it, so you have the list of everything that's supposed to be, and then on those like the VADA list and everything, it tells you things you can't take, and it says and it normally gives you a list of supplements you're allowed to take. Or you go and you say, you give them the supplement, you say, this is what I want to take, is it okay? And they'll look and they say, based on their list, it's fine. So you can do those checks. Like, you don't literally get the powder tested before you take it. You just get the supplement check to say, am I allowed to take this? Is this on your list of banned substances or not, or your banned supplements or not? And they'll say, no, it's fine to use. So if that process has happened and then it's been contaminated, or there's an ingredient in it that no one knew about, that's not something that you can control. Emma says strict liability doesn't apply to Whyte in this case. It should have been applied to Alicia though. I mean, yeah, there's definitely grounds for that. Karma says, how come they said it was molestat initially and now it's a different substance? Well, I haven't heard it's a different substance. I heard they haven't announced what the substance is. Even that wasn't given as a concrete. That was just what people were speculating that it was. So no one guaranteed, yeah, this is what he's been popped for. So everyone just said, I think everyone was just sort of guesswork. But either way, all they're saying is whatever it is wasn't on the label for the supplement itself. North Bank says spot on. I don't think they'll give him permission, especially with Conor Benn's situation still looming. I think this is a lot different to that one, because again, the reason they've got the Conor Benn thing going on is because Conor had a British Boxing Board of Control license at the time, so he's bound by UCAD. UCAD have nothing to do with this thing. So from Dillian's cleared to fight in all the other territories, and he didn't fail any UCAD or British tests, and he's been found innocent or not guilty or cleared of any wrongful doing in this one, the BBBOC won't step in. There's no reason, there's no precedent for them to not sanction him when he's being cleared to box by another organization, and their own organizations aren't involved in the process in any way, shape or form. North Bank, Dillian did it how you should, follow the process and give you evidence. Credit to him for that, whatever I think of the situation. Agreed. Ron A, big up to you. Haven't seen you in the chat before. He says, on the other hand, Ben is arguably more well known than he was before the failed test. It seems more people know him now and just like him because he talks so much. I mean, look, yes, there is arguably that case, but some people don't want to be the villain. And I don't think he strikes me as a person that necessarily wants to be the villain. But now talking about Ryan, Northbank says he needs an intervention. I agree. I didn't see a space today, but if you're talking about the Andrew Tate one from yesterday or whenever it was, I didn't see it, but I've heard some of the quotes about, you know, secret rings of people and certain acts that are being committed, and you know, having evidence and having videos that he can expose and whatnot. I mean, look, I'm not going to say that certain things aren't happening, that ain't taking place, but I just feel like when you're in a situation right now when you could potentially be putting your life on the line in the ring, I feel like you got bigger problems and bigger things to worry about than, you know, maybe some untoward situations that are taking place that you can handle after the fight. That's from my perspective, but obviously I could be wrong. Northman says that fight should not happen, and I agree. Not based on the current the current situation. Jonah 31, Ryan is so scared to fight Devin, he's bringing up the Illuminati. I mean, but Philip says apparently the thing with Ryan started back in February, so it's not just now it started. Yeah, but remember they signed the contract in February, at the start of February. So if that's the case, I mean, imagine it being as soon as you start to sign the contract is when all of the stuff starts taking place. I mean, that's a bit suspect. That's pretty much the way I look at that one. Amy Barboza would be the better fight anyway. It would be, but it doesn't sell anywhere near as much. It doesn't attract the same attention. It's a better fight for the purists. And it's a more intriguing style matchup. But in terms of the general public, that fight does a third, maybe a quarter of the numbers that the Ryan Garcia fight would do. So, yeah, it's an issue. It's a problem trying to decide ultimately how you're going to proceed with that one. It's a shame, but look, hopefully they can do. Hopefully the fight gets over the line, if for nothing else, just to give Devin a bit more high profile, and then for him to go on and do extra stuff moving forward. Because ultimately, I respect Devin, I respect his work rate, and whether I agree with every and anything he does outside the ring, what he spends his money on, all that stuff, I know that he works hard, and he's never been personally involved in any scandals, any issues. He's always made way, even when it was killing him to do so, and I respect that. And he's taken all the challenges he was supposed to. He even took some of Ryan's work when Ryan was backing out of them back in the day. So I've got no issues with that. No fact, okay, no, his space today was unbelievable. I haven't seen it. I'll have to check it after the live, but I doubt I'll really speak about much. But he says, called out Oprah and Tom Hanks as part of the cult that kidnapped him. Well, I mean, they've been accused of certain things anyway. So, yeah, that's not surprising that those names are involved. But, I mean, Ryan is Ryan. It's still on his account. Okay, I'll check it after the live. Need his real friends and family. Yeah, unfortunately, I just don't know if that's gonna happen. But yeah, I guess that's enough of the Ryan stuff at the minute. Look, I wish him good health mentally and otherwise. I hope he makes it to the ring. But if he's not able to make it to the ring, then please don't make it to the ring. If you guys get what I mean. Now, last but not least, let's talk about this whole Canelo Alvarez situation. It looks like things are back in unsteady territory. Now, Eddie Hearn never said ultimately that he was definitely coming back to the zone. He said that, look, it's a 2-fight deal that they had on the table. He wants to fight Munguia and Berlanga, But he wanted to fight Berlanga first, then Munguia in September. The Zone said if they were going to happen, it needed to happen the other way, with Munguia first and Berlanga possibly second. Obviously, Eddie Hearn has now said that he happily make the Benavidez fight on the Zone. Benavidez has come out and said that he's not willing to cross the street to take the fight, which also puts paid to the whole Canelo ducking situation and the rumors, because as I had said before, yeah, he may have never ultimately, shouted for the fight and said, look, I want this fight, I need this fight. But you don't do that for the, it's the mandatory it needs to be called. Like, you don't need to yell and scream for the mandatory. But one thing that's very clear within that situation with David Benavidez, his team have not pushed for that mandatory in any way, shape or form. They would be talking about things in the, in the media. Oh yeah, we want that fight, especially when he wasn't on the PBC. Then they went and got very quiet when he got over to the PBC. Then they started back up again as soon as he left. But it's weird, you get Mauricio Suleiman saying, 3 weeks ago now, that David's going to be made the official mandatory for the belt in March. But then in the same time, David said he's going up to light heavyweight. Well, if you're now officially the mandatory, why aren't you going to wait for it? Part of the reason is because as a mandatory, you can't dictate, you can't get a good purse. Like you're going to get a 15 or a 20% of the revenue. It'll probably be closer to 15% based on what happened with the Dillian Whyte and Tyson Fury situation, which is something you don't want. And then outside of that, your own team, the team that you said that you're not willing to leave in PBC, never included you in the deal. So if you was never included in the deal to fight the guy, why would you, number one, why would you want to stay there? But number two, why would you be acting like it's his fault that this isn't happening when you've never been put on the table to the guy? So yeah, there's that. Plus now he's also said that as soon as he takes on Vosdik, when he wins that fight, he's going to go straight up to cruiserweight, and he's going to try and face Zurdo Ramirez if he beats Arsene Goulamarian. This doesn't sound like someone that is still, that is really wanting the Canelo fight when you're going to be made the mandatory for it. So yeah, there's all of that. But now it looks like Canelo and the PBC are back in some form of talks, in which case they're saying that there's a potential that it could be a one-fight deal now, with maybe Jamal Charlo back on the table again. I'm not sure how that works. They said it could possibly be a two-fight deal with Jaime Munguia and Jamal Charlo. Their whole Amazon Prime situation is still up in the air. No idea what's going on with that. Yeah, there's a lot that's kind of that's happening, and it's just weird to sort of know who's really going where, what Canelo really wants. But what I do know is it's only about 9 weeks away from that 4th of May date, so they got to get a move on to, obviously, yeah, it's a Canelo fight, so you can promote that in 6 weeks if you really have to, but I'm sure whoever's got it wants to maximize their earnings on that. But it also looks like both the teams are not necessarily willing, or both the broadcasters are maybe not necessarily happy to pay the guarantee that Canelo wants for maybe the first fight. They're probably not, they don't mind the fight that's going to take place in September, but they don't want to pay that money for the first fight. And if you remember, I made it a members only video on the channel, but I might re-release it just to everyone else. But there was an interview Eddie Hearn said when Canelo initially left over to PBC. He said Canelo's great for the platform. He's like, he does really good numbers, but it costs a lot of money, and they don't always recruit on the money that they pay out. So with the freed up money that they was going to get from him moving over to PBC, that was going to basically allow them to do they was going to do more high level fights on the regular subscription, like better quality fights overall. So they said they were still doing good ones, but they'll be able to do even more competitive because they have more money to be able to play with. Maybe that's a stumbling block for him coming back to either the Zone or even PBC. Like, the guarantee that he wants, can't generate the money that would see a return on investment for the opponents that he wants to face, or at least wants to face like right now. So yeah, it's an interesting situation. I just kind of want to see where we kind of get to with that one, sort of just understand what's going on. Ultimately, I just want to get that saga out of the way, so I know who he's fighting, I know what the situation is, and how that's all going to take place and pan out. Dr. Wolf tickets, big up to you. Bloody hell, didn't realize Ryan was that far gone. I mean, yeah. North Bank, if he does make it to the ring, lump everything on Haney. 100%. I was going to anyway. So, man like Yams, big up to you. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm about to end off the stream very, very soon, but thank you very much for being in attendance. Emma Willis, David and Canelo have been walking away from the fight. David more. So yeah, I mean, look, neither of them have been running towards it, but obviously the Benavidez side have been doing the PBC tactic of talking from the other side of the street, making out like it's the other person's fault, and then talking, and then promoting another fight in the interim. They've done it it's been a tactic of theirs for a while. So that's why I find it hard to believe that someone is ducking one of their opponents, because they never really do anything to try and push the issue or force the issue or make the noise necessary for that to happen. It's always like, trial by media on their side of things. Emma says the Zone and Eddie need to stop twerking for Canelo indefinitely. Set the price. If he doesn't like it, walk away. Agreed. And to be totally honest, look, he hasn't got many options, because you've got the PBC who kind of need him at this point desperately, but they obviously don't need him to the point where they're going to lose money, because they haven't got the money to lose. The Zone and Golden Boy, they've got the money to lose, but I guess they don't want to. So after that, he can't go to Top Rank, because Bob Arum he's already said he can't afford the money that Canelo wants. Basically mean he's not prepared to pay that. Where else can he go? He can't generate that money in the UK, even on pay-per-view, I don't think. The only other place that you can do it is Saudi, but Saudi is heavily linked in with the Zone on a worldwide scale. They're not gonna have a Saudi event and then have the PBC running it on Amazon Prime. You can't go Japan, because there's no one in Japan for him to fight. So yeah, outside of obviously what he's got now, that's all that's left. So he's kind of gonna have to, he might have to come down on that guarantee. Say, look, we understand you want 35, but take a 20, take a 20 guarantee for this fight, and then you can have 35 or 40 for the next one, provided it's an opponent that we're all happy with. So yeah, I agree with you, Emma. Jam Down 187. Beats made a point about Canelo's guaranteed purse, which I completely agree with. He is no longer worth his guaranteed minimums. Again, I partially agree, but it depends on it depends on who he's fighting. He's not worth it if he's fighting people that no one believes can beat him. So he's gonna have to go up to light heavy again, or he's gonna have to fight a murderer's row at 168 to justify a 35 or a 40 million pound guarantee. But what he should really do is just take a 15 or a 20 million, and then say you're gonna back yourself to take the rest on pay-per-view, if that's really if you know that you're the cash cow like that. But yeah, shout out to Declan as well. Thank you very much for tuning in and blessing up. Ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for today. Don't forget, I'm going to be live again tomorrow for a live version of Basis Picks. I'm going to go through about five or six bouts and that. Actually, just before I go, I'm going to do this comment by Kings that came in. Big up to you. Did you see Cameron's post that the Katie Taylor trilogy won't happen because Katie's team is lowballing her, even after she agreed to take a pay cut? No, I didn't see that. She said that that Katie might be taking the interim, but I didn't see the post about her being lowballed. That's very interesting. I'll have a look into that, and when I do a video, probably on Saturday now, I might do another episode on Saturday. If that's a talking point, I'll address it in that video. But yeah, big ups to you. Thank you very much for tuning in. North Bank and Woo Doc, thank you very much for the salute. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, big up. Thank you. I will catch you on the next one. And for right now, the Hardcore Casual out.
Maybe I'ma make it, maybe I'm not. In time we'll see. But who better than me? I don't care if you agree. I ain't saying that I'm better than anyone. But who better than me?